Hi, everyone. Dr. Justin Golston here. And in discussing the future of work, I think that, we have seen during the pandemic where a lot of organizations had to pivot and find innovative, unconventional ways to continue their daily operations. So, given that a number of us work virtually, given that a number of us telecommuted during the pandemic, you know, although we previously viewed those as options for an organization, those have now become the norm. Now, back in the early days of the pandemic, a number of people would refer this to the new normal, right? And whenever people would say the new normal, it just ran all over. But I have come to embrace this term, the new normal, because it is indeed the new normal. So given that we've covered telecommuting essentially where we can do our daily operations from home, right? Where some people have the option to go into the office on a daily basis. You can have some employees to work from home. Some people work from their beds. I mean, from what I've been told. So telecommuting is now the norm in many organizations, and then organizations such as Twitter said we are closing our offices indefinitely. Like you don't have to come work in our offices, but the offices will be there if you would like to be in an office environment, if you want to have that peer-to-peer interaction within the organization. So going back to my experience whenever I began my career as a fresh undergrad, we did have some where we were given the option. So we could work from home, but then we still had office spaces available where people would come into work because they had small children. Or, as I said before, they wanted that individual interaction. Or they would have team meetings once a week where all of their team members would come in, meet face to face, and have a 3 hour meeting, so that they felt there's more value in meeting face to face than to have a virtual Zoom meeting. Okay, so that covers the telecommuting. Now, in terms of flex time, given that we have seen this traditional 9 to 5 work schedule essentially fall by the wayside. Flex time is essentially where you can work any time of day in certain industries, such as technology in the industry that I worked in. As long as you were able to complete your tasks by the end of the week, me as a project manager, I didn't care when you worked. If you got the job done, I don't care when you work, right? And a number of people were early birds where they would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and be done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where others would be night owls, where they would work at, they start their work day at 9 o'clock whenever their children went to bed and things like that. So this flex time is very beneficial, especially so for me, because I have a 1.5-year-old daughter. The flex time is very beneficial for me because one, I can spend time with my daughter anytime I want to, and two, I am able to work around my schedule as well as her schedule. So flex time has been very beneficial. And also, you as you see have new people enter into the workforce, they ask about this flex time. They ask about this flex time. Another thing so falling into this whole flex time concept, another approach that organizations will do, and I've experienced this as well, is where they will have unlimited time off. So you can say, so they'll say we have unlimited time off, and then going back to flex time. As long as you get the job done, you can take time off. If you work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all the tasks are complete, okay, you can take 3 days off. You know, so the only drawback to flex time, and taking my examples into account, the only drawback to flex time is if you have team meetings. right? So if you have flex time, then you would have to take time away from your family, take time away from your appointments that you have to attend those team meetings. But outside of that, I don't see any issue with having this flex time approach in certain industries. In certain industries, like healthcare, if you worked in a hospital, flex time wouldn't be that great. It wouldn't be that great of an approach. But in certain industries, such as professional services, if you're a programmer or things like that, this flex time approach has proven to be very successful, and it's also a favorite of some of those within that profession. Compressed time week. So within a compressed time week, I've experienced this as a consultant as well, where you'll actually work 10 4-day shifts. So, or wait a minute. So I would work 4 days a week. Let me back up. I had it totally wrong. I would work 4 days a week for 10 hours a day, and then I would take a Friday off. So whenever I was consulting for a distributor, they would have all of their workers work 10-hour shifts, and then every Friday they would have every Friday off. So that would result in a 3-day work week every week. And especially those individuals, they found that to be very beneficial. And then in the event that something were to arise, then they would actually pay overtime for those that actually have to come in on Fridays. So the compressed work week is another thing that's used, where I would actually work, 10 hours, 4 days a week, and then I would actually have a Friday off or a Monday off, so I could have a 3-day work week. Job sharing and part-time work. So with job sharing and part-time work, with job sharing, you could have a full-time role that you would split across 2 or 3 people, right? So those individuals could essentially work part-time, and then instead of hiring a full-time employee and paying benefits, you could actually hire hourly workers to share that individual role. Now, going back to the normal part-time role, is you can actually have hourly workers to do that part-time work. So we actually seen this a lot within certain industries, with part-time work, where people so again, we have the great resignation, and one of the options that employers offer is that we don't want to lose you. What about you give us part-time? What about you give us 10 hours a week? Right? So some of you, we've actually seen that. We've seen a rise in that, where because these individuals have the knowledge, because they do no longer want to work this 40-hour work week, they will transition to part-time work if they do not want to leave that organization or that industry completely. Phased retirement. So phased retirement, as individuals reach retirement age, instead of that individual leaving on that retirement date, organizations have adopted what we refer to as a phased retirement. So they are slowly transitioning that employee in retirement. And then if you have this phased retirement, it's essentially like a win-win, where the employee that's going to replace the employee that's retired can be onboarded, and then the employee that retired comes back, then that employee can actually help the individual that's going to be replacing them. So this phased retirement is one thing we're actually seeing emerge within the industry, because in certain industries such as manufacturing in the United States, a number of baby boomers are reaching retirement age, right? And given that a number of those baby boomers have most of the knowledge within the organization, those leaders of those organizations do not want to lose that knowledge. And because of that, they are actually using this phased retirement model so that they can train the people that's going to replace them, and that they can do that knowledge transfer before they actually retire. So we discussed telecommuting at the beginning of this discussion, and then finally virtual offices. So going back to what we discussed, where a lot of people will telecommute. So we also have this concept of virtual offices where we can work from home, but you also have a concept that we refer to as hoteling. So hoteling is so if you've heard of the company WeWork will actually have office spaces in major cities where you can actually pay a certain rate, like a weekly rate, hourly rate, what have you, where you can actually use a space at any given time. Right. So if you need a quiet space, if you need an office space, if you need to get out of the house because your children are home for the summer, or they're home for because of a snow day, you're able to go into this hoteling type WeWork type environment, and you can use those spaces at any given time. So it provides that flexibility in the workplace. So for the other videos, we're actually going to move those to the next session. I think that we can wrap this up. So until next time.